Apathy is often disguised as neutrality. Many times in our life, we should engage into problems. Many times we should not engage in those problems. This is the state of our human condition of neutrality. It's so much better to be neutral than to be apathetic. But many times when there's an issue, when there's a problem, we shy away from it and we'll tell other people, you know what, I just don't want to get involved. And that might be the right thing to do at that time. But the way that we can distinct whether it's neutrality or apathy is through wisdom. And the way that we get to that wisdom is there's many different ways, but one of them is actually engaging and making the mistake. I know much in my life I haven't engaged. I haven't spoken the truth as I've seen it because fearing of how there's so many different ways of seeing a problem. Anytime you start to engage the enemy, and that enemy can be many different things. It can be problems, that people are dealing with. It can be whatever it may be. It could be, a health issue. It could be, how to fix a problem at work, how to, become a better speaker, whatever it may be. You have to enter the arena before you can really say you're at a state of neutrality. A lot of people have all the answers. They're very smart people. And there's a difference between being smart and wise. And wisdom only comes to those who are in the arena by going out there and speaking truth forward and having it attacked. I know that was it was a big block for me to really enter the arena. I made my podcast. I should have made my podcast really 5-6 years ago, if not longer than that. When I first said, hey, I really would love to do this, but I talked myself out of it because I was afraid of what other people would say. And ultimately, because I wanted it to be perfect, right? This idea, it has to be perfect. I need to have a set. I need to have the perfect name. I need to start it with somebody. All these reasons why I didn't start it. And because of that, when I did finally start it, it was crap. And I look back at some of my early guests. I was talking so much. I made so many mistakes. And it was this idea of pride that I had to sacrifice. And I continue to sacrifice each day because when you get to higher levels of truth, there's so many paradoxes. I talk about that a lot. I've talked about that in different videos, a lot of different podcasts with people that I've interviewed, especially the past few that I've had on, because there's so many paradoxes, because we're called to be unapologetic about how we see the world. But at the same time, we're called to be humble. We're called to listen to how other people see the world because we can learn from every single person that we meet with. But at the same time, sometimes it's important not to shy away and to double down how you see the world, because the voice that you have is important, and to have the wisdom to know how we grow in that wisdom determines how we act. But we have to be willing to make mistakes with that. And, if you're someone who was like me, where you don't engage in issues and you don't speak your mind about different things, and you are more apathetic. You don't speak up at work to your boss. You don't speak up to your family about how you see certain things. You don't speak up to your friends. Then there's a small death that just happens. And then over time, you'll convince yourself, you know what, I'm just being neutral. I'd rather not get involved. I'd rather do that. And what it actually becomes is passivity. It becomes avoidance. It becomes apathy. And the more you dig yourself down that hole, speaking on my own experience, the more that there's a resentment within. And I'll end it with this. There's a quote from Christ that he has said so many times, I've reflected so many times in my life, that if you do not bring forth, and it might be a different variation, but again, the meaning is what's important. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. And the core of that, as I've come to understand, is twofold. One is, we have sin. We have ignorance. We've all fallen short of the best version of us possible. We have to get that off our chest. Our sin, our screw ups, our things that, if we only saw the bigger picture when we were younger, we wouldn't have made the same mistakes. That's one. We have to shed our shit, our bullshit. And the second part of that is our gifts. And they're kind of interrelated. Our gifts are, what are we here to do? I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about, different philosophers and psychologists. I love talking about Christ. I love talking about different religions. I love learning. I love growing. That's innate in us. And I love speaking about this. I love I love talking. I've always been this person where I can talk about this for 3, 4 hours. We can talk about life. We can talk about all these things. That's what gives me life. And to be able to to take those really deep, complex ideas and to simplify them as best as I can, that's been a joy of mine for so long. The problem is I didn't speak it forward. I didn't enter the arena. And as time went on, there was kind of like a pain in my heart. And it wasn't until I started making these videos, and it wasn't until I started reaching out, connecting, and having the willingness to look like a fool because I don't have all the answers. Um, and I think that's where the most wisdom comes. And the reason I say those two things are interrelated is because if you don't share your gift, by default, you're going to seek worldly pleasure, as I did for a long time. You seek to feel good, or you seek validation. You seek things that are temporary. Happiness comes and goes, but joy is eternal. It's a way of seeing the world. And the way you do that is by entering the arena, entering in life, taking action. So I hope that provides insight for those of you who are kind of on the sidelines in life, those of you who, you know, you have a gift to share with other people, and you're someone who's kind of maybe been introverted, you're on the sidelines. Get into the arena. It's not supposed to feel comfortable. It's not supposed to, oh wait, you're going to come and speak to somebody and it's just going to be gold that comes out of your mouth. You have to have the willingness to surrender the ego, the willingness to look like an idiot, because the more that you have the willingness to enter the arena, look like a fool, stay humble, but have confidence with what you believe. As long as you're aiming towards truth and you're honest in your heart, we need those people now more than ever. So I hope that adds value to you. It's something that I wish somebody told me when I was younger, but the opportunity now gets to be shared with you. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Much love.